Yo guys, welcome back to Undefeated Locals. It's your boy Marvin, back at it again. You already read the title. I'm winning the Atlanta Regional, guys. It's over. It's done. I've decided. We're topping. We're getting to the finals. We're taking it all home. Let me show you guys how. Let's get right into my deck profile for Pony. Everybody knows what this character is all about. We're trying to collect horn counters by discarding 2 cards, getting 2 horn counters, and then via 3 other enhances, we can spin those horn counters for +2 or -2 speed, a zone change, or spending 3 counters for the big one, clearing an attack, or really any card, from our card pool. Very, very great character, super aggressive. Because of cards from Attack on Titan that we're about to rip right into, she can discard 2 cards and end up drawing 3 or more cards. It's absolutely insane what this character is capable of. Let's rip right into it. First up, we are 4Xing one of the new Attack on Titan cards, Wish Hard. This is a 3-diff attack where the text doesn't really matter. We're never playing this guy. We are almost never resolving this as an actual attack. This is only ever going to be discarded to use its response. When we discard this card during the combat phase, we can respond, remove to draw another card. So again, like I was saying with Pony, we discard 2 cards. This is one of them. We draw with Pony, we draw with this. Absolutely insane. We're basically just playing this as an action card to really just kind of sculpt our hand, right? Look for the good ones, look for the better attacks, even like our foundations, any answer that we need in that matchup. The cards and this card and cards like this are really going to help us find those answers. Ripping right through it. Next up, we have literally the best attack in our deck. This guy is Electric Moth. Card right out of the Godzilla Challenger series. This guy's a 4-diff 3 high for 4 that says enhance, discard 1 card, draw 2 cards. If your opponent is at 10 or more foundations, draw 3 cards instead. Once again, just value towning this discard and draw angle, right? If we have like Wish Hard, any cards that respond, we get to discard 1 and draw 3 or 4 cards with this guy. Once again, just really helping us sculpt our hand into the better moves. Its other enhance is just ready into your character, but if you have the giant keyword, we're not using that. We're literally just using it for the draw engine. Sorry about the lighting, that's why we're not laying out the cards. I'm going to show you guys the cards up close and personal. We're going to get a handle on this lighting issue, but ripping right through it. 4Xing Battle Aura Release. Again, just the draw power, guys. Flip a foundation, draw a card, 4 high for 4, and it gets damage based off of how many flipped foundations we have, maximum 4. This guy, once again, really just good mid-turn piece. Flip through the rest of our deck and give it damage. If we give it 2 speed with Pony, this can be a 6 high for 8 or 6 low for 8, any zone that we want it to be if we've made that read on our opponent. Very good piece to kind of just be played as like your 3rd attack for the turn. Next up, funny enough, probably the worst attack in our deck, but a very necessary one, Spirit Slash. This guy is a Yu Yu Hakusho reprint out of the Dark Tournament set. This guy's a 4-diff +0 high block, absolutely insane block zone here, and it's a 4 high for 4. It has a static, guys. When we clear this card from our card pool, or when it leaves our card pool anyway, build the top card of our deck. So this is an attack and a foundation, right? Turn 2, turn 3, we can really overextend because of cards like this. And then it also has enhance. If you have more face down foundations than your opponent, this gets +2 speed and +1 damage. So once again, an attack that's really extending our game plan, either drawing us cards or building us foundations, and wearing stats, which we can give even more to via Pony and other foundations in our list that we'll show you guys next. Again, this is just value town the deck. We're really trying to create this absolutely insane draw engine. End up with 13, 14 cards in hand is not an uncommon thing for this character post AOT. And yeah, this is definitely helping us get there in the early game. Next up and last for our attacks, we've got 4 Falling Skies. This card is only about killing our rival, right? It's the only one that's not drawing us a card. It's not building us anything. There's no value in this outside of giving this +3/+3, sending it at your rival. Being able to like utilize Spirit Slash and like play this like on a 6, you know, like we don't clear with Pony, we just play this as our third move, give it +3/+3, and then clear Spirit Slash, build the card. Absolutely insane the type of combos that you can get with this. And again, we're drawing so many cards that it is not uncommon to just find every single copy of this card in your hand. I've ended the game so often by resolving 3 or like all 4 copies of Fall Moon Skies. Very, very good piece, even when we're clearing cards. The clearing cards doesn't really matter, because again, like, that's your decision as, like, piloting the deck, of, like, do I want this as just, like, the sickest poke in the world and give it throw, or do I want to hold a couple cards in card pool and really just slam stats onto this guy? You can do either, and you'll do both inside of a round, just figuring out when to do it. That's it for our attacks, guys. 20 attacks, but only 16 of them are being played. Next up, let's rip into the only action that we're mainboarding. We are mainboarding Seizing the Advantage. This card has come in and out of the deck a lot for me. It's been other cards like, namely, Referee Jury. We were maining that for a while. It still exists in the deck, just in the sideboard, and we'll get into that here in a bit. Why I decided to main this guy over Referee Jury is there was just so many matchups where this came up more than the other card did, right? There were so many matchups that I had. So far with this deck, I've taken down like 5 or 6 local qualifiers. It's been an insane run. And in every game that I didn't have this, I just wanted it, right? There's so many foundations that can just kind of like try to end our turns early. Things like learning the standards, things like anything flipping an attack in our card pool, anything like So Manly that's shoving something into our card pool. I want to be able to take out those threats early and very, very often. So we're 3xing this. And even if it's not good for that, even if your opponent doesn't really have something on the board that you particularly care about, we can hedge our bets, and this can just become an extra foundation early, right? On a build 4, we play this into a Spirit Slash. We check 2 5s, this builds down, and now we also have more face downs than our rival to give Spirit Slash +2/+1, already getting the +2 from Seizing the Advantage. Absolutely insane the plays that can be made with this card, and it's like a pretty easy sideboard in and out for like Referee Jury. Again, we'll get into that when we get into it. Ripping right into the foundations here, guys. Once again, right out of Attack on Titan, we've got 4x Feral Shriek. Again, we never really want to play this into our stage. It has an interesting response where after your rival's combat phase begins, you can discard a card and draw a card. So it's not entirely like useless in the staging area, but it's certainly not amazing. What we really want to be doing is activating its first response remove after you discard this card during the combat phase, draw a card. Again, really just all in on that game plan of we're going to open our turn 2 with several of these types of cards in our hand, and we're either going to end the game there or pass after play 3 attacks, build 7 foundations, hold 4, you know? Like, absolutely insane what these cards are doing inside of Pony. Next up, once again, just kind of value towning the amount of foundations we want. We're 4xing Mother's Embrace. This is just 2 foundations in our deck. It says Response Tenacious Flip. After you clear a card from your card pool during the combat phase, ready this card. Very, very good for Pony, obviously, since we get to spend 3 counters and clear any card that we want. So, once again, as soon as we build any amount of these, this is 2 foundations, 4 foundations, 6 foundations. It gets absolutely out of hand when we find multiple of these early. This is, these extending pieces, cards like this, cards like Spirit Slash, cards like Seizing the Advantage, these are the cards that are really going to allow you to, like, kind of go in on turn 2 and, like, maybe just end the game before it's even began. And even if we can't do that, they're still extremely useful on that turn 3 where, like, I have 10 foundations, now I'm just going to end the game here. Right on through, we're 4xing Chivalrous Competitor. This guy is just, again, draw engine, flip, we both draw a card. And it also has response flip. After your rival attempts to flip or destroy a foundation, flip this instead. Very, very good. We have some foundations that we do want to protect, namely one in our 3-diff slot that we'll get into. So if we think that they're able to flip or interact with those pieces at all, we can just flip this. Really get into something like Ravages of War that says Ruin 1 early. Against Smiling, we just always flip this to have the foundation. Not to block, we're never blocking against Smiling on turn 2, but to just have the foundations available to then backswing them. Very, very helpful response. And again, if they're not playing that, this is just an auto draw. Next up, the last of the cards to discard and draw one is Any Means Necessary. This card's been in the format forever. Pony's just finally really starting to utilize it in a pretty egregious way. If we discard this during the enhanced step, we draw a card. Utilized just like all the other ones. Funny enough, Blitz is during the enhanced step, so if they try to Ravages of War you, we have so many outs to Ravages of War, including this. We just discard this, draw a card, we flip Chivalrous, we don't blow up a thing. We're hardly ever taking momentum unless it's incredible display. So yeah, a lot of answers to these new cards in the format, as well as, again, just the absolutely insane draw engine that the deck has crafted. Next up, we're getting into that 3-diff slot that I talked about. We are 3xing Sacrifice for the Cause. This card is absolutely insane for Pony. I think it's just as good, if not better, than the cards that she got that respond when discarded. This guy is a 3-diff, +3 high block, and it says Enhance, discard 1 card. This attack gets +X damage. X equals the modifier of the discarded card. So you're talking, we're going to discard Any Means Necessary. This attack gets 5 damage. Respond Any Means Necessary, I'll draw a card. Absolutely insane. This card is the entire damage pump in the deck. When your attacks aren't giving themselves stats, this card easily will. We need a discard outlet anyway. We're literally drawing 1,000,000 cards per turn. And this card is just going to kind of cull your hand, as well as it has an absolutely insane response. Response Sacrifice. After your opponent plays an ability that would reduce the damage of an attack, cancel it. This can cancel character abilities, guys. So mhaccg, offensively and defensively, we just cancel his minus or plus because it could and would and could are interchangeable in our card game. Same thing with Elder Toguro. Elder Toguro attempts to swap for that combo, attempts to swap the speed and damage. We just cancel it. Absolutely insane. It allowed us to stop playing the 5-diff, the Horndash Hammer, the attack. That was Pony's main damage output, was being able to respond in the card pool off of that move. I hated that before. I hated having to leave it in your card pool. This card allows us to not have to do that anymore. It's a way better damage output, and we have so many cards that are +3 block mods or higher that respond and draw a card. So this is often 3+ damage, draw a card. Very, very solid. Next up, more draw power. We are 3xing Flustered. This guy just says Enhanced Flip. If there's a charge attack in your card pool, you either selectively discard one of your opponent's momentum or draw a card. Both of these effects come up very, very often. We can play Electric Moth, flip this, and draw an additional card. Most of our attack lineup is charge attacks. Or if our opponents the Toga 3s of the world, the mhaccgs of the world, if there's a really good piece in their momentum that we just don't want to deal with, we can do the same, flip it, and selectively discard their momentum, which is very, very cool against cards like Black Abyss, Deception Dagger, what have you. And yeah, once again, just more draw power. Next up, still getting into the 3Xs here, number 10 Pro Hero. This guy is a 0-diff, it checks a 6, it's a +1 high block. That's literally the only reason it's in the deck. Very, very good block to be able to play and even repeat with Incredible Display, which we'll get into. Checks a 6, that's the only time, that's the highest we're ever playing a move anyways, on a 6, and it's a spam foundation. Next up, my favorite card in the entire game, New Training Method. This guy's insane in Pony. It helps our build just like it always does in any deck. Really makes your first turn build kind of be insane. We can build 5-6 foundations if we find several of these. And what it's really being utilized for in Pony is when we check over Any Means Necessary, we get to pick it up. Same with Feral Shriek. So we respond, flip, commit, pick up Any Means Necessary, discard it with our character. Very, very good. Also picks up Sacrifice for the Cause if we didn't find it in our opening hand. Next up, a new addition to the deck, another 0 diff, Internship with Best Genus. This guy's a 0 diff +3 mid block, and it has an Earth response. After you play this, we can mill one, and our rival flips the foundation. This isn't like the most effective. Again, it's just like a 0 diff, and where the Earth symbol's kind of like running low on those. I tried Quick to Act. I wasn't in love with it. Things like Inferno, the Endeavor card, are really only good into like specifically Rodan, and I wasn't in love with that either. This card, because of being paired with Seizing the Advantage, if we like rip the luckiest draw on the planet, we actually can just like flip our rival's entire stage. And again, the luckiest draw on the planet is like a very, very big potential, right? We're drawing 14 cards a turn. It's absolutely insane what we can do. These early are just 0 diffs, right? If we go first, it's just a 0, helps our build turn. But like later in the game, it really does help put pressure on a rival staging area, which is something that the deck was lacking before. Next up, getting into our 2-ofs, we got 2 Quick Response. This is a recent team call. Several of my team members at Undefeated Locals are going to be running a very, very similar 60 cards, if not the exact 60 that I'm running. So we decided as a team to 2x this guy because of like the Rodan and King Ghidorah matchup. We can kill those characters early, don't get me wrong. I can cut off 3 heads on turn 3, no issue. I've done it so many times. But if we don't, that's why this is in here, right? If we somehow miss, if we don't find it, if we brick, we want a good deadlock piece, or rather a piece that just keeps them out of ever wanting to go to deadlock, which is what Quick Response is doing. Deadlock, enhance, switch the zone of your attack, it gets +1 speed. So we already had Pony, right? Pony can already switch. Now this is just happening for free, and it's getting 1,000,000 speed, and we are an all high attacks deck, so even the first enhance of Destroy Foundation, this high attack gets +2 speed, is extremely relevant in so many matchups. Very, very good piece to have. Next up, 2xing Defending Pageant Queen. This card exists for Smiling Titan, and every deck like her. It exists for the big Titan attacks. Against Smiling and like Anasa, things like these decks, the decks that are only playing these high diff attacks, we either find this or like a piece like it, right? We develop a good board state, or we just don't pass back. We either find our Pageant Queens, we side juries and we find those, or we just kill them. That's like our out, and that's fine. Again, we're drawing 1,000,000 cards. You will be able to find these very, very consistently, even at a 2x. And again, you get to side your other defensive pieces as well. Next up, last but not least, 2xing Incredible Display. This card should just be running all your decks on that symbol. Respond Commit, after you block with a foundation, pick it back up. Very, very good with things like number 10 Pro Hero. And then it has Response Commit, discard a Momentum, cancel a non-character responsibility. Absolutely insane. Canceling things like Runaway, like Learning the Standards, like Airy Smiles. So many responses. Barrier Shield, the Breaker, we can cancel. So many responses that are trying to like really, really interrupt Pony's game plan specifically, that we just get to axe just with the one card. There's no momentum out in the deck outside of this, so it's do not keep your momentum, right? We don't keep momentum unless we find Incredible Display. But yeah, that's the main board. This deck is absolutely insane. Like I said, I've taken down like 5 or 6 qualifiers with it at this point, and it has not really lost me one yet. The only matchup that I've lost in a qualifier is to Woman, who was like really playing this like aggressive game plan that the deck wasn't like entirely suited for at the time. A lot of changes. My team has helped me a lot with this deck build. We're going to rip right into the sideboard, kind of explain those options, and then we're going to get into the top 10 matchups that I expect to see in Atlanta. If you want to top this event with me, I'm going to walk you through those. Alright guys, right into the sideboard. Right off the rip, team ad, BMI Buster. My teammate Asmodee in the Discord suggested this card to cancel things like Barrier Shield. It cancels things like Heroic Upbringing, people trying to steal our character card. so many things that this guy is just absolutely wrecking. Barrier Shield is like one of the best cards against us, like for obvious reasons. Same thing with like a Genkai's Guidance, you know, things that are played like in the middle of our attack string that are really trying to interrupt us can actually affect the game plan quite a bit. It will not once we find BMI Buster. There's so many attacks that you can just go down to 3 ofs. It's very easy to sideboard this card. Very effective. And it also just like gives you a free momentum out. So once we do side it, we get to kind of just like stockpile our momentum and build and draw cards for free. Very good. Next up, like I've mentioned in the video throughout, Referee Jury is being 2x'd in the sideboard. This is for matchups that are going to go high again, like mainly Smiling. You're going to side this into every single Smiling matchup that you play against. Armor of the Wolf, it can be pretty effective into. Tons of decks in the format that are just trying to like reach the ceiling with their moves. And going second is very good to have like another defensive piece. Next up, Vast Strength. I've cited this card in and out of the board a lot. Like it's been in the sideboard, it's been in the main board, it hasn't been in either. I landed just a couple days ago on wanting to run it because of things, not because of the big attacks. This card is useless against the big attacks, I've gathered. You're going down a foundation just to like cancel like them getting a momentum or something. It's absolutely ridiculous. There's no point in doing that. But what it can cancel is things like Besiege. If we don't have like a +3 block mod, it can cancel Midst of Despair. There's plenty of stuff in the format, new and old, that this card is very good against. Things like Ryukyu, it's good against her Dragon, specifically Dragon Impact. We can like blank it and like tell them to pick it up and try it again. So pretty solid there. Worth the slot. Next up, Forcing Surrender. This card is, again, just being sided into people that are trying to interrupt our game plan, face shield us, flip our moves, add a card into our card pool. Very good against things like that. You pretty much always side it into, if you're siding BMI Buster, you always side it because BMI Buster flips itself in the card pool, and then we can play another move and then kick it back out with Forcing Surrender. So those cards go hand in hand when we're siding, and it's also just, again, very good into like interruption pieces, things like Runaway, all of that good stuff. People will or should be trying to interrupt your game plan, and that's going to interrupt theirs. Next up, a single copy of Togoro's Dominance. I'm tired of vertical maneuvering equipment, guys. I'm so sick of that card already. So if they only find one, they get to use it exactly one time when we have this on the field, and then we destroy it. It has other applications, other assets that are like repeating themselves, like Iden Box, things like Knots Blast, but it's mainly in here for vertical maneuvering. I just couldn't fit more asset hate, so it's just the cool 1x. We're drawing a million cards. We'll always find it, I'm sure. And yeah, guys, that's the deck list. So let me go ahead and bring up our top 10 matchups that we expect to see at the Atlanta Regional. And I'll walk you through a little bit of all of them on how I've already planned for it, how I fought them, and all of that good stuff. So let's check it out. Ripping right into those matchups. First up, on expectations to run into in Atlanta, Godzilla, King of the Monsters, guys. He's still out there. This character's still insane. Utilizing City Rampage and all of his 5 diffs. I have played this matchup numerous times because two of my team members play this deck all the time, every local qualifier. Haven't really lost to it yet. Like, we've lost games, but never a round. Have a really solid game plan into this guy. We're a 7-hander, so him blowing up our board isn't really that effective unless, like, we completely brick. And then just being able to, like, out-aggress him. Things like him relying on City Rampage, where we're relying on nothing besides just drawing our cards, drawing the good ones, can really just put some pressure on him early, can really survive this, like, mono zone game plan, right? We've seen so many Godzillas on, like, mono lows, or, like, really just all-inning on a lot of these low attacks, like Smashing Stomp, things like Walk the Dog. We get to change the zone of any of their attack, give it -2 speed. They're only giving it damage, so that's, like, way less effective against a defensive character. And then post-board, we have things like Vast Strength, things like Referee Jury. His damage is really just all on his static, so Referee Jury can just absolutely solo this guy. This guy's entire game plan relies on Godzilla giving the damage. And then Vast Strength really taking out these pieces like Thornlance, like Smashing Stomp, so on and so forth. So yeah, I think you're going to have a pretty easy time into the King of the Monsters. Next up, we've got Ymir. Ymir is the transforming character, transforms into the Smiling Titan. Ymir's entire game plan is finding a mortal shapeshifter and giving all of her moves a million damage. She really wants to get to that 8 foundation base to be able to transform her character and really just start pumping out the damage based on how much health she's gained. Matchup is so far so good. I've fought 2 Ymirs, I've 2-0'd both of them. We rarely, we can very easily rather end the game before either player gets to 8 foundations or before like we pass back to her after having 8 foundations. And then we have things like seizing the advantage to flip the immortal shapeshifters. This character is a lot less egregious when you remove immortal from her game plan. Really puts her on like better find another copy of it, you know? So really good plays there. And then again, post-board, things like Vast Strength coming in to take care of Midst of Despair. If we don't have like the block for it, we can't block it. And even Referee Jury if we expect them to be able to sideboard into a game plan that like gets them to the 8 faster, so we can reduce those high damage moves. But at the end of the day, this is just a 23 health character with not that much defense on her front side, and you can kind of just really take advantage of that. Next up, we've got Toga 3. I still am not entirely believing in this character myself. We have a local that plays her pretty consistently. She's just a glass cannon, right? She can just absolutely high roll you where we only have 22 life ourselves. She can high roll you, but we have things to make that easier. Again, being able to aggress into her early at a lot higher rate because we're never playing anything on a 5. She checks a 3 on Deception Dagger. Her turn is looking really bad. Where our turn, we're building foundations, we're drawing cards, very easy to like aggress 2, 3, even 4 moves into this character, and then really build out a board presence. Things like Flustered in the main board will come into play here to take out things like Deception Dagger, like the Black Abysses of the world. We don't really have an answer for Risky Encounter, we just have to into the game before this card really comes into play all that much. And then post-board, again, kind of on the same game plan here. Vast Strength, a lot of people don't know, Vast Strength will take out the static ability on these moves as well. So like this card, when you add it to your momentum, add it face up, is gone. So we can take out things like Deception Dagger, like Black Abyss. Referee Jury is like kind of effective in here if you're like exclusively dying to like walk the dog strings or something like that, but I really don't think we need like a super aggressive board plan into this character. I think just our main board should be able to get us there. Next up, the 4th character that we will see in Atlanta, mhaccg. Kind of same idea here. He's really utilizing his momentum. We mentioned it before. Sacrifice of the Cause will absolutely just like kind of solo this matchup for you. If we can aggress early and he has that ability, we just outright cancel it and try to kill this character 20 to 0. If he gets a turn, as long as we find Sacrifice of the Cause, we don't really ever have to worry about like a turn where he's like aggressing into us super hard. And I think you can just like kind of get him early. Things like seizing the advantage to really up our game plan and flip his defensive pieces like the Broken Psyches will be really effective here. And then the sideboard game plan, same type of deal. If he's on Armor of the Wolf, if we're going to die to like Armor of the Wolf, Walk the Dog, we side Referee Jury. Siding Vast Strength here, again, very good. Being able to take out things like Vast Hybrid Chimera Kraken before he can like really just like put the hurt on our like Sacrifice for the Causes is very good. And things like that. If he's on Runaway, we can side BMI Buster. A lot of these Chaos decks I feel either will be or like at least should be on an amount of Runaway. If we see that, if we make that read, we can side BMI Buster or like see it game 2, side it game 3. that sort of plan. But again, I think we're really being able to take advantage of these 7 health like defensive characters because they don't have a very aggressive game plan generally early unless he's like specifically on steady rampage, and we can take advantage that way. Next up, we've got Elder Toguro. This guy is still real, guys. He won the last regional. Nothing's changed here. He still has Twisting Azure Inferno. He still has Sports Festival Champ. Really want to find our seasoning advantages and hold them, guys. Hold your seasons. Let's tutor those into hand. Let's wait for him to have Sports Fest Champ, and then we flip it. This character is a lot easier to deal with without Sports Fest Champ, and seizing the advantage will take care of that card very swiftly. Once again, we can cancel his character ability with Sacrifice of the Cause, so sculpting for our seizing the advantages. Should be able to wrap up this matchup. Defensively, I don't think this character gets to do very much into us, honestly. We get to flip his most like defensive piece if we don't see Sports Fest or if we've already taken care of it. And our moves have like just kind of rolling stats on both ends, so the swap is not really all that effective. He can't really DR us and then swap it, because then we can just like give it +2 speed and like still make him kind of pay for that. So yeah, I think this is just like hold, right? Patience. It's a patience test. Make sure we're holding our seizing the advantages, and then post board it becomes a lot easier with things like Bash Strength to take care of like anything Twisting Azure is really capable of. Jury is like really hard into this matchup because we'd have to find Jury and seizing the advantage, but like, God, we want to see one of the two, I guess. So like, kind of dealer's choice on if we want to bank on them not finding Sports Fest Champ. I don't know. But yeah, it's going to be like, this one's like not easy, right? It's not an easy matchup at all, but it is very winnable if we find those pieces. Next up, we got number 6 here. We've got King Ghidorah. Of course, we saw Godzilla, so we have to see his rival, King Ghidorah. I think this matchup is a lot easier than a lot of people think. I've played into it several times. A couple teammates play it, and we had another guy at a different local qualifier playing this deck, playing like, you know, a similar list to the list that have topped. Pre-board, it's just, again, like a test of patience, really like kind of putting pressure on him turn 2, right? Maybe even like try to go for a head if he's like low on defenses. Maybe we can like take off a head early and then really build out a really good staging area. Once we do that, we reach a point of I'm going to play every single attack I draw. No matter what this character does, I'm going to play them all. We have things around Barrier Shield. We have our incredible displays that we can find on turn 2, collect the momentum for. We have our seizing the advantages. We also just have 0 diffs that we can clear with our character. Barrier Shield is not that super effective, especially like later in the game. And then our post-board plan is absolutely insane into this guy, BMI Busters. BMI Busters all the way. Side all 3 of them into this guy. Barrier Shield can never hurt us again. Genkai's Guidance can never hurt us again. So, yeah. Pre-board, I think it's like, again, just like, take your time. Don't try to, like, don't overextend, right? Do not overextend to this character. This character can find 22. Especially with, like, risky encounter plays out there. But, yeah. Aggress a little bit early, get that damage in, build out a good staging area, and then go all in on turn 3, and then BMI Busters for game 2. Next up, guys, we've got the next Ryukyu. This character is terrifying. I am very scared of this one. Ryukyu is gaining 1 million momentum to fund this new vertical maneuvering equipment. Like we said, we had to grow in the side 4. Doesn't really help us game 1. So she's going to try to get 1 million momentum early. Things like the blank foundations, even if she goes second. Like, going second is honestly, like, pretty fine for this character if she can find, like, exactly VME and several blank cards, because we can really just set up the most egregious early defense I've seen in this game so far. And then her aggression is highly dependent on whether the pilot has decided to run Dragon Impact or not. Legitimately, if you play game 1 and you do not see Dragon Impact, I think you've won the game. You've won the day. Thank God this Ryukyu opponent has decided to not play Dragon Impact. But I have seen lists on YouTube recently that are 4xing Dragon Impact. Those lists terrify me. They can aggress as well, if not sometimes better than we can. So again, don't overextend into this character. This character can just take you from 22 to 0 very, very easily. Thankfully, we have a built-in answer to vertical maneuvering equipment with our character, and then again, post-board is when we're going to be citing those Togoro's dominance. Maybe the vast strength if we see them on impact. I guess I could see that play. It sucks because the rest of her attacks are blank, so it's literally useless unless she plays Dragon Impact. But if she's on it, we definitely want to try to blank this one. And then jury's all the way here. She's going to give her attacks 1,000,000 damage if she wants to. Next up, we've got Smiling Titan, the big bad of the format, slinging 16 mids for 16. Honestly, I don't think this character has much against us. Honestly, I've played this matchup the most out of every matchup out there. Edgar, the other member of Undefeated at Locals, the YouTube channel, has been on this character since Attack on Titan release, since day one. A lot of changes, a lot of different renditions of it, the death list, the life list. They're pretty much like generally all the same. Their defense is like one block and like Keiko's aid, things like that. Seizing the advantage will take care of those pieces pretty nicely. And then just, again, don't overextend. Really dig for your pageant queens, dig for your juries post board. And I think it's so easy to take this character from like 31 to 0 or like even 31 to 16 and then like turn 3, 16 to 0. She's playing one move, maybe two moves max, generally speaking, unless you just get like absolutely high rolled. So yeah, just patience is key here. Don't overextend into them because they will try, right? Like 2 attacks can kill you, so don't put yourself into a position where that's possible and you'll be a-okay. Next up, guys, we've got Rodon. Easily top 3 characters to me. This character is absolutely insane still, and has one of the best defenses against like what we're doing, right? Like constantly giving us -X speed, trading our ability, generally like -1, right? Generally he's giving it -1 more speed than we can give it back. And his offense is like really crazy, both on Void and the All symbol with like focus attack. So each of these deck lists is going to have like a kind of different game plan because All doesn't get Barrier Shield. So if he doesn't get Barrier Shield, we probably don't need BMI Buster, but we do need Vast Strength. And if it's the Void list, we probably don't really need Vast Strength unless we're worried about like specifically like Ice Sword Execution, but we would need BMI Buster. So this is a matchup where like you want to aggress early, right? You definitely want to aggress, like put real pressure on him on turn 2. And again, develop a good staging area and then like crush it on turn 3. You can't always have it. The Void version, I don't think, is really like super capable of like turn 2ing you. The All version definitely is though, so we have to keep an eye out for that. Side our juries into focus attack, stuff like that. But yeah, I don't think it's an unwinnable matchup, but I don't think, like, this is like the only matchup that I don't like think is like actively favored for Pony. All of the others that I've discussed so far, I think, are in our favor, but this one's a little rough. He's like definitely out there. Next up, we have the last character, and you know it just had to be Pony. Like, Pony is, I believe, the best deck in the format. I truly do. And thinking about it from the perspective of Atlanta, which is what I want this video to like really show you guys, is the matchups that you're going to see in Atlanta. I know of minimum 5 people that are going to be playing this deck list with me, or like 4 people that are going to be playing this deck list, and then I know of 1 other person that's playing Pony, and that's like minimum, right? So many people are actively now talking about this character, as they should be. She's insane. So I just wanted to kind of touch into the pony deck profile on the pony deck, you know. The mirror match is what it is. It's very like dice rolly and like who's spending their counters better, who has like a better sideboard game plan. I don't think you should be super preparing for the mirror that often, but if you're not, I really wanted to show you this for if you're not taking pony, like really be on the lookout for these cards, right? This is exactly what our game plan is going to be looking like. There's like an air version going out there, but it's mostly this like Falling Skies list that I've shown you with like some like variations, of course. But yeah, I think these are the top 10 matchups that you're going to see in Atlanta, and let me know what you guys are playing. Let me know in the comments if you're going to play Pony in Atlanta. If not, what are you playing and what's your game plan into this deck list? What do you think about it? Let me know in the comments. Please, please, please join our Discord, Undefeated at Locals. So many of our team members are traveling with me to Atlanta. It's going to be a great time, guys. Come up to us, say hi, and we'll catch you next time. Hope you enjoyed. Peace.